everyone, and welcome to Sequin Girly Creates. This is one of my special episodes, and this is my final Make 9 review of 2023 and plans for Make 9 2024. The review is going to be fairly quick because there's not been much progress since my last review in August, but then we'll talk a bit more about what's to come. My Make 9 this year was inspired by Liz the Baker That Sews and how she used fabric rather than patterns to help her use fabric up in her stash, and also because it increased the likelihood of achieving it, because patterns can come and go through the year but your fabrics that you like are less likely to. So I set my Make 9 back in January 2023 and shared it with you for the first time in May when I released my first ever vlogs. So let's work across the top row. So the pink seersucker is finished and has been worn, and as previously mentioned, I did make it into an LED wrap dress. I paired it, as you can see in the picture, with black and white gingham. I felt it was like a good pairing and not too overpowering. Still some fit issues with that, so it's definitely a wrap dress that I would wear with a top like this underneath, so I'm not worrying about the gaping and everything, but I'm really happy with the colour combinations together. Second one, sadly I have not made any progress on that green wool tartan fabric. I just can't find a pattern for the design of skirt I want, and so it's going to be a real sort of like get deep into it design and make project. So I will do it, but I just haven't been in the right headspace lately to do it. I wanted more sort of quicker wins, more things that I could enjoy wearing rather than the sort of putting myself out there, taking a risk and then worrying. The third one is the gorgeous bug fabric, which I was very excited to share with you back in May. I had fantastic responses from that, and I have worn it since, and so that was a really great success that came from the Make 9. The second row, the blue and green, same design, different colourway fabric, was my first ever proper patina blouse. It was like a gateway into many things. Sadly, I haven't actually worn that one, and now I have to look at that and say, was that a good sort of cutting my teeth, as they say, to get going? But I need to ask myself why I don't wear it. But I have made it. It was done. The second one on the middle row is the gorgeous safari fabric, which I did make into the pencil skirt and have worn since, and that was a real success story, and I'm so glad I did that. The third one was the lilac jersey, and that was the Freya top that I made. I'm so glad I put that on here because it was me dipping my toe into what became a real love affair in 2023 with jersey fabric, and it was that Freya top, which I've put in a picture of here, from my Make 9 that kick-started that. I've used that Freya top pattern many times in lots of different ways since. I've worn that Freya top lots of times. That, I would say, is the biggest success of my Make 9, and I'm really glad I put it on there and took that risk. It was a fabric that I'd bought my mum years ago that she'd never used, and she gave back to me, and look what happened from that. So that's brilliant, isn't it? And then on the bottom row, the rainbow checked seersucker still has not fulfilled its destiny as a dress. It will, but I'm just not in the mood now with the weather we've got, so I will come back to it and I will tell you what happens when I do it. But I just got to September and I just didn't feel I'd wear it, and it just didn't feel right. I think it's going to be a spring, so I feel like it's going to have a peplum. I just can't wait really to bring that to life. It's going to happen. Middle of the bottom row was the blue vintage fabric, which in my last review in August I'd almost finished, and I was having the overlapping problem at the front. Well, I revisited it again several times, and in the end I had to accept that I needed to let it go. It wasn't going to work for me. I wasn't going to wear it, and it needed to go and fulfill its life elsewhere. So I took it to one of my sewing socials, and somebody else popped it on over the top of their clothes and realised that it fitted their body better. And I really hope it gets worn and enjoyed, because I'd put a lot of time and love. It was gorgeous fabric. but it was just never going to fulfill its wearing destiny with me. So it was made to the level that I could make it to, and then it went out into the world. And then, of course, last of all was the waistcoat, which was completed quite some time ago actually, and is a great vintage pattern that I loved and got me started on using vintage patterns again. So I think so I managed to do 7 out of 9 of them. That's and really 8 out of 9 have been started, and I'm happy with that. I enjoyed the process. It didn't make me feel bad. I know some people have struggled with Make Nines because they almost feel like it puts them under pressure. It definitely didn't for me. It gave me a great chance to look and reflect on my stash, but I've got new ideas for next year. So let's get into what am I going to do for 2024. So I really enjoyed the process last year of selecting fabrics and making sure I used fabrics that I wanted to. But this year coming, I want my Make 9 to be particular sewing techniques. Now, the reason I want that is because I realise how much last year's Make 9 took me to places that I hadn't been and encouraged me to, and I want that to be what happens again. Now, I would love your ideas for this. I've not set it in stone yet, hence why I'm releasing this so early, because I want to hear your thoughts. So I'm going to share with you what I'm thinking. I'll put some ideas up here, and then I'd love you to comment below on anything else for me to consider. And then I'll make my final decisions after you lovely people have contributed. And I do hope this helps to inspire you. So far for Make Nines, you could do fabrics from your stash, you could do patterns, or a mixture of those two. Or I haven't seen anyone else do this, and do tell me if I'm wrong, but I've had a look around and I haven't. I've picked sewing techniques that I want to do. So I haven't picked a pattern or a fabric to do them on. I'm picking a technique, and then as I plan my sewing for the year, I'll look out for a pattern that might have this technique in, or I'll look out for a fabric where I can use this, or a project, and so on. So this is the ideas I've got so far. I've got my notepad here, so I've done a bit of research, but as I say, do comment below if you can think of any others that I haven't thought of that you think I should try. And if I've done it and you don't know, that's okay. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to tell you off that you don't know everything I've done. So first one is a welt pocket. I have avoided it up to now because I just think life is too short, but actually, particularly with jackets and coats, they can be a great thing. So welt pockets is something I really feel I should push myself to do. Then I've got like a jean zip, you know, where you've got the lapped fabric. I think it's called a lapped zip, or a zip fly. Maybe 2 variations, or maybe the same, but I really think that would be a good one for me to do because I do like wearing trousers, and I've done invisible zips at the back. I've done side zips which are invisible, but I think it's time to do the proper sort of jean style zip at the front. And then another technique I thought, following on from my seasons of details, is a scalloped edge. Now, I'm not the world's most precise person, but so a really good quality scalloped edge could be something that really keeps elevating my sewing. Oh, and by the way, if anyone knows any good tutorials on any of these, do let me know below as well. Lining a jacket. Now, I've done lining of a waistcoat, and I appreciate that I've got patterns that have instructions on how to do the lining, but what I want to get to is being able to choose whether to put a lining in or not, and really understand the technique behind it, so I could do it when I wanted to, like even just suddenly going, oh, I'll line this cardigan, make it thicker. So that's what I really want to get my head round. Plackets on a sleeve, I've avoided those because again, life feels too short, and why would I want them? But actually it is a really good technique to have. I looked up and saw this one, which is either called a slot seam or a Peterson peak seam, which is basically where you've done like an overlap and then a colour poking out. Back to my elevating details again. I'd love to know if anyone knows any more about those. Something I have avoided that I know many of you brave people have not, which is shearing or shirring, however people pronounce it. Basically, the elastic. I know there was the lovely, I think it was the Mabel dress last year that got a lot of people doing that. I know there's some really good YouTube vlogs out there on how to do it. I've just put it off. And I'm pretty sure that when I do it, I'll be like, oh, I love doing that. That's a great thing. It might be, if you've watched my review vlog, seen that I'm still on the search for my dream summer dress. This could be the answer, hence why I need to push myself to stop avoiding doing this. And then I've got two other options. Hong Kong seam. Will I do it? Is it worth it? Tell me. And also doing a bias band neck or arm cuff without stretching it out. It still happens a bit, and so I avoid them like the plague, and I want to master it and just be able to do it and just be able to do them whenever I want. So that's where I'm at. As I say, do drop a comment below to tell me any that you think I should add that I haven't got. Do keep telling me ideas for that pattern for the check seersucker from 2023s, and I'd love to hear what, if you're going to do Make 9, what you're going to theme it round, all of those sorts of things. So do drop some comments. Don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe if you don't already. And I look forward to a bit further into January sharing with you. You can tell my hair needs a cut. A bit further into January when I can share with you my final decisions on this, and also start to think about which patterns will help me do that. Catch you again soon. Bye.